Hello and welcome to my third podcast / YouTube upload. My name is Samantha Yardley. I am a writer. I specialise in the fitness industry, and I decided to start sharing some of the amazing, inspiring interviews that I am very privileged to partake of. Now, this next one that I'm going to share with you guys is really mind-blowing. It's absolutely diabolically mind-blowing. This guy called Nick Dunn, who I was introduced to through a mutual friend. Hi, Tab. He is a wonderful guy, really fascinating. I speak to him every now and again. I think I can call him a friend now. He brightens my day every time I speak to him, like a typical crazy English northerner, typical squaddy, like super fun, like great sense of humour. I love him. Now his story, I really struggle to put into words how poignant this guy's hardship has been. I don't want to give too much away, but having come from a military background, he moved into like private security in the hostile environment sector, was stationed out in India, and through sort of propaganda and some corrupt political agendas, I think it's fair to say, without being too non-PC, he was wrongly imprisoned in an Indian jail for 4 years, and the things that he went through, I think most of us, touch wood, will never have to endure. So this guy endured an awful lot, just a diabolical amount of hardship. But I think most poignantly came out the other end with like a lease for life, like a hugely inspiring, positive attitude. I think most people, or certainly a lot of people, would be tempted to kind of fall into a victim mentality. He literally lost 4 years of his life, endured a lot, but he came out positive, almost grateful, I think, for the experience and how it's changed him. It inspired him to write a book. It's called Surviving Hell, and it's available on Amazon. I'd highly recommend. But I think there's something we can all take from his story. He's really just smashing at life now. I'm sure in many ways he's grateful for the experience. I don't know if that's accurate. Let me know, Nick. But I think he's so strong now, hugely strong, and I think we can all take something from his story. It's so inspirational, absolutely fascinating, and just a great guy who inspired me personally. I love speaking to him. He is like a typical crazy northerner. Just brightens my day, crazy sense of humour, typical squaddy. And hopefully you'll enjoy this one. It is hard not to be absolutely dumbfounded by it. It really is fascinating. So yeah, enjoy. Please hit subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.
I just kind of had some experiences, like, because we come from like a military background, we can always laugh in the face of adversity.
Yeah.
So we did have times where we joked on, had laughs. We had a cake eating competition, which it was.
You got cake? How did you have cake?
Well, like from the prison shop, we had like little cake. So individual slices. So they were putting pieces in my mouth and saying, "Chew, don't swallow," to see how many we can get in.
Oh yeah, well why not? It's going to keep you amused, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we played battleships and made a joke out of that. Well, you've got to do stuff to appease your mind and keep you sane. And yeah, you're grown men, but you sharp go back to what you used to do as a kid, because they're the easy options. They're the stuff that you just never forget. everyone knows how to play battleships. You know,
True.
it's not rocket science. You know, it was a bit of a pain in the arse, right? Drawing it all on paper and all that, and that was time consuming. But when you got so much time on your hand, we'll do loads, so we could try and play a couple of games before the lights went out. But most of the time it was book reading, and I'm not a massive book reader, but I must have read quite a few books. I did read quite a few books, and that helps. You just get lost in the moment, and I think when you're in that situation, compared to, say, if you were reading a book at home where there's more distractions, I mean, you get more involved in the book, and you do realise you may read it a lot quicker than what you would do at home, because at home you've got other stuff to do. Or I'll read a couple of chapters and then I'll go shopping or something, and it might be the next day you might pick it up. Well, and that it was, you know, read the book, put it down, maybe do some fitness. Fitness for me is like a big thing, in terms of keeping like a positive mindset, especially when we built our Flintstone gym.
Yeah, that looks so cool. So cool.
Yeah, it got dismantled on 2 occasions till we kicked off and said, look, no one's going to use our gym as weapons, because we'll you know, we're taking the time and ripping flagstones out of the ground, finding a metal object and just chiseling. Good job there was 23 to go around. So we would literally chisel holes in these flagstones to get like a branch to go through. Then we'd use bed sheets from the store, say, oh, my bed sheet, it's ripped, blah, blah. I want another one. And then we'd tie it and create a little gym using piling bricks and flagstones and creating a bench.
Cool.
We found like a metal railing or a wood bar at the time, and created a pull-up bar. So, you know, we used what we had to create these weights and improvisation and knowledge, and it's good for your mind.
Yeah,
and it keeps you going. And,
yeah, that's so impressive. I love that so much.
And yeah, it just shows determination. And to keep, you know, the gym for me, like, yeah, we were on lockdown and it was annoying. I've got like some weights at home, some resistance bands and stuff, and knowledge. So I got myself into routine. But
it'd be a breeze for you, right? After that Flintstone gym.
Yeah, it was. But sometimes it does get tedious at times when you can't do the stuff you could do in the gym, and you become lazy. That's why everyone's screaming about working from home, and I'm like, no, don't work from home. Get yourself back to your workplace, because it's a routine.
Yeah.
You work from home, you become lazy. Your hygiene will go down. Because you will just roll out of bed, put a top on and make a cuppa, start cracking on a laptop and forget that you've not had a wash. That's that. You know, and people were like, well, people won't do that. I said, after a couple of weeks, they will. And after a couple of months, they certainly were. Because they couldn't go anywhere. So they just sit in their dressing gown all day in pajamas. Yeah. And look like and then next minute I'm ordering a takeaway because they literally can't be asked to cook. That was the reality of lockdown for many people.
You're right.
I was working throughout, so I was quite my routine kept the same. Just the difference was not training in a gym. Yeah. But I didn't train every day. There was days where I thought, well, I'll just take this opportunity to try and heal some niggles, and it's done the grand scheme of fuck all because my shoulder's still killed. So I'm gonna have to try and go private and get a scan on my shoulders, because I did have an incident with my right shoulder when I was in India. I got assaulted by the police officers. But it is what it is, really. You just got to crack on.
Yeah, I get you. Fair one. Okay, so shall we take it back, like right back to the start, and start with like a little bit about you and how you got into the army and stuff? Is that cool?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
So, grown up in a small town called Linemouth in Northumberland, in the northeast of England. Just an average young kid of that era. Yeah, you go to school with your friends, you come back from school, you're out playing football, playing armies, tag, being a kid going on down the woods for adventures. There was still like your SNES and your Sega Mega Drive and them back in them days. But the height of playing computer games back then wasn't as it is today. Kids of today, you can't get them off their computers to get outside. Even though it was raining, we would still be out playing football in all weathers. And you're standing there covered in mud in your underpants, and your mum's making you get your muddy clothing off so she can put them straight in the washing. And she's like, get in that bath now. That's what it was like growing up. But like saying that, mainly on Sundays where the old war films would be on, it intrigued me, and I like me history, and getting older and going through school, I had a goal in life, and that was to join the best regiment that the army could provide. And
which regiment was that?
That was the parachute regiment for me. So I don't regret anything from me leading up to wanting to join the army. I think if you've got a goal in life, go for it, but set reasonable goals. I can't turn around and say, well, I want to be an astronaut. Well, if I can't do the spinny round thing, then if you can't complete that, you can't be an astronaut. So, but being in the army, it's not for everyone. It is very demanding, mentally, physically, but you got to remember you're potentially going to go to war to protect your nation. So we sacrifice ourselves so you can have a better life, so to speak. So I joined the army. I did 6 years in the army, going to Northern Ireland, Afghanistan, Iraq. Had some amazing times. Had some typical army days where you're cold, wet, and you think, this is crap. I want to go home. I want to go home. I shouldn't. I'm not getting paid enough. We call it chuntering in the military. But you crack on. A lot of people nowadays say, "Oh, you can't crack on because it's all to do with mental health and all." And I'm thinking, okay, I understand it more on a grand scheme now, but back then it was crack on, mate.
Yeah.
Fill your boots. But I've seen some good things. Going to these countries. Obviously, they're not a holiday destination, but you get to see how the other half live and how a war-torn country is, and it's not nice. It's like going around Afghanistan, around these tiny little villages, and you're seeing the kids and all that. At the time, you don't really take much notice, but when you think back, when you're not playing soldiers anymore, and you're just back to a regular guy, you do think, them poor people, they've been brought into this world and not knowing that they live in a very poor country, and it's not nice. No one wants to see any suffering, let alone children suffering. So there's a great friend of mine who does a lot of stuff for that, and he focuses mainly on the educational side, which is a big thing. Doesn't matter what country, good education can set them up for anything. Doesn't matter what poor country they live in. If they've got a good education, they can go further in life. It's a proven fact. So being in the military, it's toughened me up. It's got a more stronger mindset. And I didn't realise how much I needed that never give up attitude, the will to keep fighting till over nearly 10 years later, when I obviously found myself in a living nightmare. But I left the military. A lot of people were going into private security sector, whether it was doing Iraq, doing the close protection out in Iraq or Afghanistan.
I'm a trained PPO.
And at the time there was the anti-piracy happening, so a lot of vessels were getting hijacked by Somali pirates, and the most famous incident is the Captain Phillips, which was made into a Hollywood movie.
That was a Tom Hanks thing.
And Tom Hanks played the starring role, and the actual real Captain Phillips did an interview in support of us, saying if we had security on that vessel, it wouldn't have happened. And it's a proven fact.
Yeah.
No ship's been hijacked whilst armed guards have been on board. So we did a job, and we did it well. Little did we know that it wasn't the Somali pirates that would hijack us as such, but a diplomatic country with a blossoming ties with the United Kingdom, and that country is India. You don't think that Indian officials would act like pirates, because effectively that's what they done. However, the whole grand scheme of things was a massive setup.
Yeah.
We were set up. I'm 100% we were set up. There's absolutely no way why the authorities would come out to investigate us when we're not doing anything wrong, and we're taking on fuel and provisions for the vessel to then go back out to
the... So you were out on a boat and you kind of docked to take provisions and fuel, right?
That's correct, yes.
So that's what happened.
And it's actually nearly it's 1 year today. Well, it started October the 12th, 2013. So currently at this moment of time, 7 years ago, we are in the port of Tuticorin. Everything's up in the air, different organisations coming onto the vessel, checking the weapons, and they're going, well, there's nothing to be had here. Companies coming as far as Mumbai. In the grand scheme of things, there is absolutely no way they would have gotten from Mumbai to Tuticorin in the short space of time. They've been notified.
So a tip-off then, but you're not sure.
Yes.
Why or
we don't know if it was by our agent representing the company or the second officer. There was a bit of rumours, but I'm going to go 100% with the agent. He's a bit of a slimy.
What do you have to?
He's a bit of a slimy ball.
Just literally trying to hurt you guys, kind of thing. What's he trying to achieve?
I mean, money.
Money, okay.
It's all greed at the end of the day. And a lot of people don't realise India were very, very angry on the grand scheme of the whole maritime NATO organisation. They had been told to not operate doing anti-piracy because they weren't doing their job properly. They were murdering fishermen and putting it down as, oh, we came into contact with pirates.
Yeah.
And in 2012, there was 2 Italian Marines working for their Italian Navy, doing obviously what our Royal Marines do in maritime operations. So they were on board a vessel and they killed 2 Indian fishermen off the coast of Kerala. And they should have been convicted. They should have been put away for murder, but they couldn't. They got away with it. So India were very angry with that.
Yeah. Okay.
Because anyone who has done maritime knows the procedures before you even pull a trigger. Obviously, it's a bit different. If they fire first, you go straight to red and you engage the enemy. But if you see any piracy happening or any skiffs, like small speedboats that they use, you go through the procedure in letting them know there is armed personnel on this vessel and not to come any closer. And you don't realise when you're on the high seas how much time you actually got available to your disposal. On ground, it's like that, a blink of an eye, boom, boom. On a vessel, you've got ample time. So for them to do what they did and kill 2 Indian fishermen, without, it just makes you think, who trained these idiots? Because guess what you've just done? You've made India very angry. They're wanting blood, and they got blood with our lives.
So
they made us an example.
Like the public, right?
Yeah. We were made an example of by the Indian government, the Indian media. We were the bad men.
Okay.
Look at what we've got. You know, when you've got a high-ranking Indian naval admiral going, we've got them, to the media, it makes you think, what on earth do they think we are?
Yeah.
Media reports at the beginning saying we're going to be selling weapons to fishermen, like the Tamil Tigers.
That's what you're accused.
Yeah, we were accused of that. We were accused of borderline terrorism. And this is what they're feeding their media. We were going to be doing a Mumbai-style attack on a nuclear power plant, and my family in the UK, my family during this time 7 years ago, were seeing these reports, and they're on the phone to me, going, "Can you tell me what on earth's going on? Because we're hearing reports, and I'm having to tell my family it's lies." I'm protecting Indian crew. I'm protecting vessels. I'm doing a law-abiding job, not a terrorist. So that's what was. That's
weapons and planning a terrorist attack on a nuclear power plant, right?
That's correct. That's what they said in one of their media, and you just scratch your head and go, This isn't going to end well if they're saying stuff like that. This isn't. But you just keep that in the back of your mind. In reality, you think, oh well, we know what happens in that part of the world. It's all about money. Give me so much a bit of money, we'll turn a blind eye. Corruption at its best, and anyone who disagrees with that, you've clearly not been in them situations, because I know in every security personnel that happens in that part of the world, and in the Arab states as well. Money talks. Fortunately, money talks, and if you want a stamp on a piece of paperwork, it may cost your company, say, $4,000. So that happened to a colleague, that happened to a friend of mine, because his passport was a little bit frayed. Oh, fake passport. Oh, damaged passport. We can't give you visa. All right, how much? $4,000. Boom, there you go.
A lot. Yeah.
It's corruption. It's wrong. It shouldn't be happening, but it does. That's reality. It's a shame that we were never offered.
Yeah.
However, we did have some rumours. They're not concrete, but I guarantee you, I would say probably about 80% truth. Maritime at the time was booming. People knew you. They used to always ask, how much you get paid? How much you get paid? So you know fine well, money is the figure. That's what they're focusing on. Money. They're always, how much you get paid? And I'm like, what's it got to do with how much I get paid? How much do you get paid? Peanuts. Yeah. But I'm doing my job. Doesn't matter what I get paid.
Sure.
And I'm not going to certainly tell some police officer. But that's what it is. That's what it's like, you know, money. Yeah. And they said, for the 35 people, the 35 weapons, ammunition, and our freedom, they proposed a offer, whether this is true or not, of nearly $500,000 to make it all go away. The company could have paid that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the company could have paid that easily. However, it didn't. Whether it was a true testament or anything, no, we don't know. We just heard that, so we took it as a pinch of salt. But you never know in these circumstances if it's true or not. Like, I had a price of $500,000 on my head. My freedom, $500,000. How can 35 families raise, even with the help of the public, raise that much money to give to corrupt Indian officials? So, but if it was true, why didn't the company owner exploit that to the world media?
True.
Why didn't he do that? So this is why you kind of, is it or is it not true state? Obviously, we're never going to find out really, but so that's what's happening 7 years ago this week, and then on the 18th of October, that's when the hell begins. This week's just formalities.
So you knew something was found, but nothing had really happened yet. You were just kind of, everything was up in the air. You wasn't sure. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people were unsure what was really going on. Was there any criminal activity happening? Blah blah. And you got different organisations from around India coming down, naval companies, police organisations. But the local boys, Q branch as they are called, they must have felt that a bit embarrassed, and they've just gone, you know what? There is illegal weapons here. FUs to all use. That's it. There was nothing here. There is illegal weapons. They didn't. I would have preferred if they just said all 35 weapons were illegal, but they didn't. They chose 6 weapons. These 6 weapons, 1 month previously to being arrested, were in Mumbai, all stamped and approved. So how can 1 minute they be legal to then next minute be illegal? So they said the weapons. And then a few days, I think it's tomorrow, 7 years ago, they removed the weapons.
What weapons were they?
A lot of the weapons were like single action, bolt action weapons, G3s, basically the like AK-47 kind of weapons. But in maritime, you can only fire single shot. So all these weapons had parts removed and you couldn't just refit these parts, so they were like removed and then certain things melted, so you couldn't reattach them. So they weren't acting as weapons of war. And that's what they said. The weapons were deemed illegal. They were fully automatic, and the weapons weren't. A fully automatic weapon is where you just hold the trigger down and all rounds will, come out the magazine. For us, you got to go bang, 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 single shot.
That's never been shot.
And yeah, and the way they got around it was they didn't wait for the ballistics experts' report and just put the charges on us. And when you're standing there during the trial and you're hearing the collector of evidence get cross-examined by our legal team, and he turns around and says, well, if I'd seen the ballistics experts' report, I wouldn't have put the charges on the men. To which our lawyers go, so why did you put the charges on the men?
Right.
Because he was given probably a nice payout by the Indian local police. That is what happened. And that's, but this didn't happen till whilst we were in prison in, I think, October, November, December.
Right.
So for over 2 months of being in an Indian prison, we had no charges.
Okay.
It was ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. We're sat there rotting in a prison, not knowing we're head from our arse, and we hadn't even been charged. And then they go, "Oh, the weapons are illegal," and you're like, "No, the weapons aren't illegal." They even
look at them or just not even at all. They just looked at them.
Yeah, it's just
They looked at them with their eyes. Wow.
They just got legal incorrect and just went, not interested.
Okay.
To suit their own narrative.
Yeah. Okay.
But you never give up hope. You always think there's a way out. We can beat this. We can win. We'll get the best lawyer money can buy. However, we paid our lawyer through donations from the kind British public, from people around the world, because we had no money. We weren't getting paid. I'm owed a 6-figure sum in wages alone off my company, and that's not even compensation. Compensation was 1,000 rupees, which is equivalent of £10 nearly. £10 for 4 years of my life. Are you taking the mick? I've not been offered, or no one else has been offered, any compensation. I know money's not everything. Money's not going to give me 4 years of my life back. Money's not going to give my mum's health back. She's not, with money, she's not going to just miraculously go back to speaking normal. She suffered a double aneurysm while I was in prison 5 days before Christmas in 2013. So not only I've got to deal, my life's been thrown in the mixer. I'm in prison for a crime I've not even committed, and now I'm getting told my mum's fighting for her life because she's suffered a double aneurysm. And the last conversation I had with her was on the 18th of October, telling her, "I'm getting arrested. I love you, and I don't know when I'll next see you again." So I've got that going on in my head, and it, to this day, eats away at me, because it's something I'm never going to get back. I have no other memory of my mum speaking, and I've got nothing. The only memory I've got is a groggy kind of voice on the phone because of the time difference. I woke her up. So so 4 years of mental anguish, mental hurt, like, what price do you put on that? At the end of the day, I've got my health, I've got my family. No money in the world can give me that. But I came home with nothing. I've had to rebuild my life. and I'm still rebuilding it. And yes, the money would have helped, whatever I would have been given, say, if I did receive any compensation. It would have been a stepping stone. It would have helped. But it didn't. It's never happened. I've had to, rebuild my life by any means possible. My family's in thousands of pounds worth of debt because of the whole 4 years. Things weren't just put on a plate. Yes, okay, fair enough. People give kind gestures to my sister and say, look, there's a couple of £100, go and see your brother in prison. But when you've got a proud person, no, it's okay. I don't need your money. Or better still, put that money for their legal fees. People, there is people in life who'll go, yes, no problem. But when you've got a person with high morals, they're gonna decline it, even though they want to. Yeah. And it's just like during the time when I was in India, I used to hear stories from my sister in letters, and I didn't realise how big of a support I had till nearly 2 years of me being back in the UK. And people just showing their amazing support. I'm proud of where I come from. Yes, it's got its flaws. I think just everywhere else nowadays, there's always crime happening, this, that, and the other. But community spirit from the town I'm from is second to none. Absolutely second to none. Even though just from what I've witnessed, a young couple losing their child, no parent wants to, bury that young child, and the community spirit for that was tremendous. There's a woman suffering cancer, and she's got young kids, and it's very upsetting. And the community spirit for her is tremendous as well. From what I've been told, seen, I can't even. I personally said when I came home, I wish I could thank every single person in person. I would. And then most kind of recently, the funeral of Jack Charlton, because he's from my town. I don't think anyone was not on that street. Well, I was on night shift, so I was abed, so unfortunate. But my support was there. But yeah, it's got a fantastic community spirit. My town. It's got its flaws, but when it comes to community spirit, it's fantastic. But as a whole, during the 4 years, it was difficult. I'm not going to say it was a breeze in the park. Definitely not. Some days was easy. Some days were just, where's my towel? I'm throwing my towel in. I had enough. How much can one mind take? I'm 5,000 miles from home. I've got an ill mum. I'm in a legal battle where I can't even begin to think when it's going to end. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but every time it got brighter and brighter, they'd just pull it away and just go, well, every time we get that close to freedom, they're taking it away, and it's all mental. Beat me to a pulp. My mind tells me I'm in pain. So if everything, you wouldn't know you've got a broken bone unless it's sticking out, obviously. But if you've got a broken arm, your mind's telling me I'm in pain. So if you just focus on the mind and cause absolute pain on that, it will cause more damage than physical. And that's what we have to endure for 4 years. The not known, and what's been happening this year. A lot of the stuff is the not known. And that's what we had to deal with. Every day it was like, right, what fantastic stuff are they going to come up with now? How far they're going to move the goalposts today? Like, going in the courts, prosecutor's not turning up, judge on one occasion not turning up. Yet they turn around and say our court system mirrors the UK court system, and you're thinking, no, it doesn't, because if a prosecutor doesn't turn up at court, he or she will probably be losing that job, and they will just go, right, someone else now. You've got an hour or two to get yourself in the books and get yourself up to speed. They just go 2 weeks, adjourn it, 2 weeks. 2 weeks and wait was the words that went through me like a hot knife through butter. I was like that. Wait, how long do you want me to wait for? God. That's what it was like. You could never feel like you were moving forward. It was always one step forward, two back. I can count on one hand the good things that happened in the 4-year period. Me coming home. Oh yeah, okay. Discredit my sister coming to visit me, my dad coming to visit me, my previous partner coming to visit me. Discredit all that. Yeah, we got bail, but we still had to be in India, and then we got put back in prison. That is that really? Can you really class that as something good? Because I can't. Because when I was out for them 3 months, while the government was inept in listening to us, look, now's the chance for you to get us home. That's 3 months, which then went to over a year of financial burden my family had to be in. Because if I had came back home when we should have came back home in July 2014, I could have gotten back working straight away. But no, it didn't happen like that. I had to go nearly a year with no work, living in India. My family sending us money. Yes, there was amazing kind donations from a few friends and military charities, but that was like 1 or 2 payments every so many months. My family was every week. And yes, I was staying in a hostel. We stayed in the Radisson Blu at the beginning because the company paid for it to make it look a media spectacle. And then they went, well, we're not paying it anymore. So we had to step on our own 2 feet because they were under the illusion, oh, they're out of prison, they should go home straight away. Well, that didn't technically happen because courts in India don't move very quick. They go at a snail's pace. So we had to fend for ourselves. Good job there was like the British Legion, the Parachute Regiment Association, whilst in prisoners abroad, putting money in prison accounts so we could buy like porridge and shower gel and toothpaste and stuff like that from the prison shop when we're in prison. But them charities really helped take not a full burden, but some of the burden off my family. But see, even though I was staying in a basic hostel, it cost a week 3,000 rupees, which accumulated to nearly £30 a week. That people will go, well, it's £30 a week. Yeah, but I'm not earning any pay. My family are having to send me money to make me survive for a week. And I wasn't, yes, I will admit, I did go out on the drink. I did, because you've got to socialise. You can't just lock yourself away in my hostel room. And like I keep saying about the lockdowns now, okay, fair enough, not a virus, but you lock yourself away your immune system is going to plummet, your morale plummets, you feel down in the dumps, being locked away. And I certainly was never going to do that. So I went to the gyms in India, which, if anyone doesn't know, Indians are very fanatics with the gym. They love, you know, gym bodies and stuff like that. They're, in a way, a bit seedy and pervy and all that. So when I used to walk around, so when I used, edit that bit. So when I used to walk around, I would get attracted by quite a few people because I've got tattoos now. I'm white and I've got muscles. Well, I do train a bit, but I wish I was bigger. But for being in Chennai, they don't see that often. So in a way, it's kind of a bit nervy because you get followed a bit. It's no disrespect to them. It's just something new to them, and they're very inquisitive. But it can be a bit unsettling at times because you don't know if they're pickpockets or anything like that. So you kind of you feel like you're a zoo animal being constantly stared at. And it didn't help that I had an Indian girlfriend at the time, so it kind of, you know, mixed, and you get frowned upon by the locals, and because she was from the northeast of India, they have a different appearance to the average Indian, so they don't even like them either. So when they see her with a white guy, they think she's 10 times worse and has no respect for herself, etc. But that was just like little things. And being in India, a lot of people have never been to India. I always wanted to go and see the Taj Mahal. I'm still going to see it on a TV and postcard because I don't think I'll ever go back to India. I don't even think I'll be allowed to go back to India. You know, being in the situation that we were in, it was always a struggle to an extent, whether it be financially or my family, mentally frustrating, which was the most common thing. People were like, so what's your routine when you were in prison? And the first prison that we're only in for, like, say, 5.5, nearly 6 months. So a lot of the time was, you were all in the air, and you didn't really have much available. But when we got convicted, it was, this is your home base. You're convicted now, because the first prison you could have been let out any time, because it was the remand prison. So we're a bit more settled once we got convicted. So the first thing, and this is when my military training comes into play, when, as we call it, when the shit hits the fan, you've got to think fast and you've got to adapt and assess the situation. And we were in that situation. Well, I used that to combat the situation that I was in. So getting thrown in a prison, I'm like, right, this is my prison, right, where can I put my bed sheets down to, this is going to be my bed space, this is going to be my home, right, while I've still got a fit and healthy mind. Let's go out and look. You know, you've got to open your vision, open your eyes, see what you've got at your disposal, see what you could potentially do to pass the time. People would then start send parcels, families, and then it went bigger around worldwide when you've got people from Australia, Canada, France, America, many people around the UK writing to you in prison, sending you parcels. My heart goes to those people. They didn't have to do that, but they did, and I thank them from the bottom of my heart, because they helped mentally. When the post used to come, you letter, parcel, and you'd feel like a kid, because you're like, yes, I've got morale. We prayed for that. That's what keeps you going. That little bit of hope, that a nice letter from your family saying, keep going, keep fighting, never give up. That's what kept me going. People from around the world going, I don't know how you're doing it, Nick, but you've got my ultimate support. And I still keep in contact with those people as well, and it's fantastic. One of the guy who lives in Australia, he came over to Newcastle, and he's actually originally from Newcastle, but lives in Sydney now. He came back to see his family, and he paid for a hotel room for me to stay in, and so I was closer to being in Newcastle. And we had a great time. Didn't have to do that. That just shows how nice some people in the world can be in their generosity, and that for me goes a long way. And like I say, didn't have to do anything of the sort. Didn't even need to write to me. But we're being in Novna, and people got to see the travesty that it was causing on our families. People, they then go, I need to help. I need to do something. And you get people in the world who are like that. And we had a fantastic support. Absolute. But when you're in prison, you can't really see the brunt of it. My sister couldn't keep us updated because of the snail mail pace. Like, one letter took 4 weeks. But the following on letter to that took less than a week. So I've got this letter, and I'm like, what on earth are you on about? So I couldn't reply to that letter till I'd gotten the one that took 4 weeks. And when you would send a parcel, they would chuck a letter in as well. So sometimes parcels took weeks to get because customs used to rummage through them. And my dad used to send the Haribo, the big multi-pack Haribo, and they'd be opened, and they'd taken a couple of bags out, and then resealed the parcel back up, and then just say, "Oh, rats have gotten it." I'm like, can a rat teleport into me box? Can it? Because it doesn't look like it's chewed through it. But you just go, and you put a complaint to the embassy, but there's nothing they can do. There's nothing they can do. But the British embassy, me personally, I can't fault what they done. They were fantastic in my eyes. They helped facilitate our family visits. Obviously, the information that they sometimes would get was a bit lackluster in progression. Sometimes we had to reconnect because we could use the prison phones to ring our lawyer directly. It's a shame we couldn't ring our home. So when people are in, say, a UK prison and they're able to get daily, weekly visits and phone calls, I would have broke my own back to speak to my family every 10 days, because that's how long our 10-minute local phone calls. So you'll get a little phone card, and you could have a 10-minute conversation. But so once that 10-minute was done, you had to wait 10 days for it to reactivate. So like I said, I had an Indian girlfriend, so any information, we would all get a card and then kind of say, look, can I borrow your card? Because they were like, well, I've got no one to ring and would rather speak to a lawyer. So sometimes it would be speak to the lawyer, give information, right, tell the families. So the families are all singing off the same song sheet, because what happens in life, Chinese whispers. Oh, well, I heard this, well, I heard that. No. And that happened a few occasions. And it upset the family, because they were like, well, the weapons are illegal. And we're like, whoa. Who in the hell has said these weapons are illegal when they're damn right 100% legal? So we had to nip that in the bud, because you got family members worrying about stuff that isn't true. And we're 5,000 miles in a prison. And we're hearing about this. And our family are going through unwanted misery and worry, which is then making us in prison worry even more. And you're thinking, we need to stop this. Whoever it is, just copy and paste. Don't put your spiel on it. Just click forward, send to the family. So everyone sings off the same song sheet, then you interpret as you see fit. But everyone sings off the same song sheet, and it did take a while for that to happen at times, and it annoyed us. And there was times where we said, look, just write it up, send it, and we're telling the embassy that exactly the same. I said, look, speak to the lawyer. If you are unsure, speak to the lawyer. Yes, the lawyer's representing us, but you're coming to bloody see. And then some people were, oh, I want to see evidence that you've spoke to the lawyer. And I'm thinking, is it necessary, mate? Is it necessary? I just take it firsthand. You know, British government talks with a lawyer. That's all I need to know. Whether they do or not, I'm not bothered, because it's not going to change the fact of me being in a prison. I just want my family to know that I'm okay, and they don't need unwanted worry. And that did happen, but we got it, we nailed it, and we got everyone singing off the same song sheet. And if you didn't understand and you took it differently, well, that's your problem. But the communication, like everyone knows, communication is key. Communication is I'll politely say it can be annoying when people don't get it right. I would have used a more flowery term, but I shall not. Communication's the mother of all fuck-ups. That's it. And it's true. It is true. But you've got to have good communication, and sometimes it wasn't. But we got there in the end. It was tough mentally. Like, I remember being in my hostel room, crying down the phone to my dad, my sister, saying, I can't do this no more. I felt really low. I wasn't going out. I was still going to the gym, but I felt that that was my little freedom, my little excitement of the day, and I was back into my hostel room and just sat there, and I had to wait for my sister to finish work to then be able to Skype me mum, and it was like 1-2 o'clock in the morning because of the time difference. It's like, at the minute, it's a 4.5 hour time difference. When our clocks go back, that's 5.5 hours. That's a long time in time difference, especially when my sister's job at the time, she was finishing at 8 o'clock UK time. So 8 o'clock UK time, let's put 5.5 hours. It's the early hours of the next morning for me. And it was difficult, but I always used to stay awake because I'm a mummy's boy. I wanted to see my mum on Skype. I wanted to show her I'm okay, that I'm healthy, and it will hopefully make her inside feel a bit better to help with her recovery process. Because if you're going to constantly like worry and basically feel down in the dumps, then you're not going to recover quicker. If I'm showing you that I'm fit and healthy, I'm well, and I'm in a positive mental attitude, even though it's a shitty situation, she's going to then think, well, he's okay. I feel more relieved on that. So she's going to feel that she's benefiting better. Let's move 7 years on. She can now video call me without the aid of my sister.
Okay, that's great.
So that's progression. Anyone who knows what an aneurysm is, it doesn't have a high survival rate, and it's your brain basically going, switch off. Just like we put the switch, you know, we may put majority of people put what TVs on standby. This is pulling the plug out. That's what an aneurysm practically is. But she was put on standby, and then the signal's gone. So you've got to retune your TV, and that's what we've had to do for my mum. She's had to learn to walk again, to eat, to hold a spoon, to go to the toilet, to do the little things that she learned over 60 odd years ago. And now she's a lot of it does come back, but the speech is the things that's not perfect. We can't have a sit down conversation. She listens, she can take it in. She is quite a bit forgetful, and you've got to like talk a bit louder and clearer to her nowadays. It's hard because when you don't know what she's talking about, because it's all mumble jumble words at times, it's hurtful because you get frustrated, and if she can't tell you or show you what she means, she gets frustrated, she gets upset. I get angry. Upset doesn't come into it. I just go into angry mode, and I feel helpless. I feel that it all comes flooding back, and like I say, I feel angry. I do feel hurt because I'm powerless, and I'm like, this is what yes, this may have still happened, and India never happened. But at least I would have been in the UK. At least I would have been at home. At least I would have had the same amount of head start as what my sister did. Yes, it's still difficult for her even to this day, but she's been there from the beginning. I've only seen my mum since December 2017. So I've had to go from 2013 in quick time, get with the picture basically. And that goes with a lot of stuff. Anyone who's been in India or spent a bit of lengthy time in India, it's India, 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 and very little of the outside world. They couldn't care really what's going on in the outside world. It's India, India, India. So I've had to, even like music, I was like really hardly hearing Western music because it's all Punjab crap and their music, you know what I mean? It's their music. Yeah, you do get to hear Western music, but that's how my perception on India is. And anyone who wants to disagree with me, I guarantee you'll know if you spend a lengthy time there. If you just go to India for a week, you're not going to really see how they live, see how their culture is. They have more time off than John Wayne's safety catch because they have a holiday for this person, a holiday for that person. They celebrate the death for a bloody 10 million gods. I'm like, no wonder nothing gets done in that country. No wonder our case is taken forever because they never at bloody work. And it's madness, but you don't get to see that if you just go for a week holiday. Yeah, you may go for, say, Diwali or the other big festivals and stuff like that, which a lot of people do go to India for as when the tourists, etc. But I was living there 4 years. I saw how they go on in their back garden, in their backyard, so to speak, and it's just madness. And seeing how their politicians run their country, and you think our country's run by strange politicians. You want to see how India's ran? It's unbelievable.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
But people who are like supporting me, and I thank them I'll thank them till the end of days. They got me through it. I couldn't have done this alone. But it was those people who were going, Nick, have you ever thought about writing your memoirs down? And I've gone, I'm sick of writing. My hand's killing. I'm sick writing letters, and people are like were uploading me letters saying I've received a letter off Nick on like social media. I'm like, don't let people see me handwriting. A 5-year-old will go, Mom, I can write better than that, because I'm left-handed, so it goes in a bloody. If I didn't have lined paper, it's going in an angle and it's smudging, and me grammar's totally crap, and it was just my replies were like rants. There was no, sometimes I forgot to put a full stop, and it was just constant. And my sister would be like, my sister's like a grammar Nazi, and she's like,
yeah, I am too.
She would read me letter and go, your spelling and grammar is absolutely atrocious. But when I'm receiving her letters and I'm laughing because I know exactly she understands. Like, so but yeah, sometimes I would, if I certain like non-family and friends, I would try and put a bit more effort in. Obviously, because they've put the effort into writing to me, and it was just letters saying, have you ever thought about writing your memoirs down? You've got a story to be told here, and they can see what's happening as a whole. I can only see that so much from being in a prison. Like I said, my sister told us certain things, but you couldn't tell me the full brunt because of the delay in how our letters would be, and so much was happening. Like when my sister would write a letter, because it would be like pages upon pages, because she tried to cram so much, and sometimes she'd be like, can't even remember herself what to tell us, you know, like, unbelievable. So coming back to the UK, and people like stopping us when they recognised us in the street. Obviously, I had long hair at the time, because I grew my hair when I was in prison. So I was kind of, and obviously I was walking around like a lost sheep, thinking. So I was quite noticeable. Just look for someone with long hair looking lost. That was me walking around going. And I was freezing as well. We've been in India for 4 years. The average temperature was about 30 degrees, and I came back to December. I came back to the UK in December. I've only had a heart attack. It was that cold. Because 24 degrees was freezing for me. So when it comes minus 1, -2 in the UK, I thought I'm in the North Pole or something. But people would, oh, hi Nick, how are you? Thank God you're back. Then they would ask us a few questions. Oh, what was the food like? What was the conditions like?
I want to ask you that later.
Yeah. And then they would say, you should write a book. And more people kept on saying. And I just sat down with my sister, Lisa. And I said, Lisa, do you want to give this a go? Got nothing to lose.
Just use the grammar.
If you do anything in life, you've got nothing to lose, but so much to gain if it pulls off. So if you've got anything in your head, if it's reasonable, give it a go. Give it a go. I'm gonna train legs today, so I want to try and hit 4 plates, because I hate squatting. So it's like a love-hate relationship. So I want to try and squat heavy today. I probably won't. My spine will probably fall out, but never mind. So we wrote up a lengthy synopsis and a little bit of a background of myself, and we just put our feelers out. Then it would be one person would say, oh, you need to get in touch with this, or you need. So we met a couple of guys. Obviously, one's my agent, and the other guy is who helped us put all my memoirs into chapters to then create a book, because I couldn't do it myself. I can't even tie my shoelaces at times. And it took from that meeting to having my book published, which came out in March this year. It took quite a few months.
Sure.
And it was hard going through it because it was my first time where I've had to really relive 4 years again. So it was difficult to try and remember and how many thousands of words I've been given to make a book from, and there is certain things I've had to leave out, which gives me the opportunity when I'm doing my podcasts or motivational talks, whatnot, I can take the stuff that's not in my book and bring them to light and say, this is what else happened, and I'll go into a bit more detail what is in the book by talking about it. And the most two things that people kept on talking about and asking is what I ate, what was my routine, and what was the conditions like. Well, conditions, the pictures I've uploaded, you can see conditions, but the conditions were really very basic. I guarantee if you put half of the prisoners in the UK in my shoes, they'll not be wanting to commit a crime anytime soon. I think that the prisons in that country was, you could say, borderline inhumane, especially to how our prisoners are well looked after. PlayStations and nice comfy beds and free square meals a day, visits every day or phone calls every day if that's the case, and can learn education, so when they come out of prison they can create a bigger well-worthy crime, because a lot of them don't see retribution, unfortunately. And our judicial system is a mockery. You know, you get sentenced for 6 years, you'll be lucky if you do 2.
That's
the rest's
That is true.
all nonsense. You, in an Indian prison, you go and do 6 years, you do 6 years.
That's good.
So conditions, the one big cell. So because I was in like 3 separate prisons, I only really talk about the second prison because we spent more time there. But the first prison were in individual cells, shared between 3 or 4 people. So off memory serving, that cell probably was about 10 by 8, so 10 feet wide, 8 foot wide, 10 foot long, 8 wide, and there was 4 of us in that cell cramped up together. And then you've got your own like little personal items that you build up. So we used to acquire bread baskets. So we used bread basket as a seat, put like a folded up sheet on, so it would be a bit comfortable. Use it as like a little container. A hole in the floor is the toilet. A bucket to wash your clothes in and wash yourself. I take supplements like obviously pre-workout and all that, and you've got to take a lot of water for that. I need to order some more. So I'm coming off. I came off night shift yesterday, and I was up down to the toilet. So I had a bit of a crap sleep yesterday. And I was again the day up down. I'm like, you know, when you wake up and you think, should I check my phone to see if my alarm's about to go off? Nah, I'll just get back to bed. And you just get comfortable and your alarm goes off and you're going, happens all the time. But so the conditions were really basic. From the first prison to the second prison was a bit more. The prison was a bit like bigger. The cells, because there was 23, were all thrown in one big cell. And then as time gets on, you've got your own living habits. How would you put it? Hygiene. And you're on top of each other, so tensions are going to run high, especially with the whole situation that we're in. missing my families and all the ups and downs, or should I say all the downs, because there wasn't many ups during the legal process. So we then split, even we split down again and got another cell. A few went into that one, and then even they split up and got another cell. So there was 3 cells split between the 23 guys, and things started to calm and ease a bit better, because you had a bit more room. You weren't on top of each other, and you could have your own like space, so to speak.
Sounds better.
Like, you know, so we built our little Flintstone gym behind our prison cell using sticks, using flagstones ripped out the ground, finding a metal object, chiseling a hole, branches, sheets. The pictures I've uploaded on social media that I took with a spy pen, that shows initiative, and it gave us something else to do with our day. And if you were to Google Central Prison Puzzle 1, you'll see the prison. There's they call it the amphitheater, and there's it's in the middle of a circle bit of grass, and then you've got the compounds and the kitchen around, and it's got a little apex. I did a half marathon on the day that my sister was running the Great North Run.
Okay.
And I did my own half marathon because she was having a niggle in her ankle and she was going to throw the towel in, and I made her a promise. Said on the day of the race I'll run the same. So I had to run around 27 times. So it was quite demanding in 30-degree heat, but it served purpose. So I fed off her energy, she fed off mine, and she completed the race. And our food, we were given the opportunity to eat the local food, which was rice and dal 3 times a day, but I think we probably would have been carted out, not walked out, if we ate that for nearly 2 years. So we were given vegetables to cook between the 6.
No meat.
And then the other guys, they would get their allocated vegetables. So we cooked as a 6 the British guys. So we got like a piece of chicken each, like basically a chicken thigh. Because in the beginning it was chicken necks and wings, and we're like, the hell's, and some of the times it was just crap. Wouldn't even give it to your cat. So they're not gonna serve you prime cut chicken breasts, definitely not to a prisoner anyways. So it was maybe a few chicken wings sometimes, or a couple of chicken thighs. It's better than nothing, even, and that was once daily. So we used to either take it all off, cut it all off the bone, and make like a stew of some sort. We named our stew Big Bob's Bastard Stew because we just threw everything in it. I think at one point we had more OXO cubes than Asda.
Oh, that's good.
So this is people sending condiment parcels in. So a typical vegetable stew could be flavored, and at one point two of the lads who did majority of the cooking, me and one of the other guys, Billy, we cooked on a Wednesday and Sunday, and Paul and Ray cooked on the other days, and they created this, they just threw everything, and it tasted like Guinness. It was absolutely beautiful.
Wow.
However, because it was so rich, you spent quite a time at the toilet. Yeah, but it was worth it. That little bit of enjoyment I'd gladly squat over the hole in the floor.
And then mostly.
But that sometimes is the reality.
Sure.
People go, oh, and I'm like, no, that is the reality. Our immune systems weren't the best. We were prone to illnesses at times. We lost weight. I lost around 10 kilograms.
Really?
I felt like a shadow of my former self. I felt from me losing weight the first prison to the second prison, there was a massive difference. The second prison was done over a gradual time. In 6 months, I lost 10 kilograms. And it was done a very unhealthy way. So I looked really withdrawn and I didn't look healthy. And my sister, when she saw us come out of prison, when I got a picture taken for media, she showed me when I came out the second prison, at least you don't look like that. And I looked at it and I went, wow, that's not even me. And one of the Estonian guys, you'd think he was bloody coming out of Auschwitz. He was skinny anyways, but he lost a lot of weight, and you could see practically all his bones in his body. So when he came out, he was eating like a machine because he had to put some serious weight back on. Food, we'll get like 2 kilograms worth of potatoes, kilogram of say carrots, tomatoes, onions. We'll get like a cabbage or lettuce or something. Lady fingers, whatever the correct name is, if we wanted to use them. Peppers.
What's a lady?
What's that?
Is that a little sponge thing that you eat, like the cake?
No, it's like a long green vegetable. Basically, the witch's fingers for Halloween. Just picture a long green one of them, and they call them ladies' fingers. So I don't know what the correct name for the vegetable is, but they're classed as ladies' fingers. So have a little, just Google ladies' fingers, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
You're making me really hungry. I think it sounds nice.
I tell you what, we're not chefs. We improvised. We made a curry. Cool. Poppadoms. We made I can't remember what the correct because different Indian states call. We made chapatis. We got the chapati man to make them, but we made our poppadoms. And poppadoms for us is like a delicacy when we're having Indians. It's peasant food in India.
Oh, okay, interesting.
The average Indian won't eat it.
No way.
Because they're like, it's peasant food.
Oh.
Yeah, we're making loads of poppadoms because we made like an Indian curry. So we took all the chicken off. We got like curry powder from the stores, and we created a curry. And obviously rice was abundant over there. And we gave some of the Indians a try, and they were absolutely buzzing because they've actually had a proper curry. English style, because they were constantly like eating rice and dal for years and years, and we gave them a bit of curry, and they were just like, oh. And sometimes instead of just chucking our leftover, because I'm a big believer that wastage of food should not go to waste.
Oh my God!
It should never go to waste, especially when there's people on the street starving. I think if you're a restaurant or whatnot, don't put it in the bin. Give it to these charities, because there's always food that they overcook, and it's a shame that doesn't get done too often. So we used to go to a few of the Indians. Do you want this? And they'll be like, wow, super, and then wash what pot out for us. So it was ideal.
Yeah, lovely.
So. And we use the prison shop to buy other necessities like toothpaste and get your porridge and biscuits if need be. I was very friendly with some of the gym guys, and they got in contact with me family because obviously they were like seeing it all over the media, and we're like, where's he gone, and where's he gone? And they were sending us protein in.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's good.
So my sister was paying it. She was transferring it to me ex-girlfriend, and she used to go to the supplement store, pay for it, and then they used to post it in. So for anyone who may think I hate all Indians, that's totally disrespectful of me.
Edit it out, don't worry.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I do not hate, because I tell you what, there were some certain Indian people I met when I was not in prison, and they were fantastic. The gym guys, I got on really friendly, and for them to and a DVD guy, so we're able to. They did have a TV. We did get a TV, and they had it all rigged up so everyone could watch the same channels. So it had a DVD. How did they manage to do that? So it wasn't all sat there staring at. We did, but majority of the time it was Indian channels. It wasn't too bad when the cricket was on, so we could watch a bit of cricket. So, and then obviously there was the under-17s football World Cup. So we watched that, and England won it in India. So it was fantastic.
Cool.
But we had like a DVD night on a Thursday, and I organised it. I set it up because I could get the DVDs in. So we're keeping up the space with the Indians. We had to go through them because certain films can have one or two nudity bits in, and you don't want. So we couldn't watch them. So we could get away with a female bum or something like that, but anything front topless or a little bit of a saucy sex scene, we couldn't watch them kind of films because it would set the Indian prisoners off.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And
right.
Quite a lot of rapists in prison and stuff like that. Yeah. So we couldn't watch them kind of films, which majority of the movies that we were able to watch, thankfully, didn't have these kind of scenes in. So that was quite good. Yeah. So living we weren't living the life of Ryrie, or we were living comfortable, but you were in prison, and you would never forget that.
Yeah.
You had to make it comfortable. You had to get some positive from a negative, and yeah, that helps when you got a good consular service. They pulled a lot of strings. It's a shame the British government as a whole couldn't pull some strings, but it is what it is. We created different kinds of food. We'd get the wok, chuck the chicken in, so fried chicken. Made some chips. People go, oh, how can you make chips in prison? Well, how can you not make chips? Just get a potato and chop it into chips. Get a wok, chuck some oil and chuck some chips in. Sure. How hard is that? You know what I mean? If you're going to turn around and say, well, how can you eat chips in prison? Well, use your head. So, and then we'll just get some eggs, and then give it to the chapati man, and you make the fried eggs on the hot plate. So there's a different kind of meal to eating a stew or eating rice and dal, egg, chips, and fried chicken.
It sounds great.
So, but yeah, so some people would still turn around and say, yeah, but that's that you've had it easy in prison. I'm thinking, how is that easy? Just changing something that you want to eat. They say, do you want to eat the local food, or do you want to cook your own food? Well, we're cooking our own food.
Right, got you.
What I mean, so we did try and change the food, because eating stew constantly is repetitive, and it gets tedious. So it's good to have a routine, but now and again chuck something else in, or take something out and add something else in. or add to what you've got, just to mix it up a bit. So my daily routine would consist of waking up. I'd kiss me family on me. I got black and white printout posters of me family, stick it on with toothpaste. And I used to wake up, give them a good morning kiss. We used to get unlocked at 6 o'clock in the morning, so I would get up and sometimes go for a run in the morning, come back, have myself a cup of coffee in my litre cup. How can you make coffee in prison? Well, you buy coffee granules from the prison shop and fill hot water, and we got milk. It's not that inhumane over there. It's borderline, but you still got to eat. You know, we were told there is other prisons in India which are worse, downright worse. And we read it in a Times magazine as well. A prison in Bihar or something. Really, that's like one of the worst prisons in India, or was. So I would have my breakfast, which sometimes consisted of chapatis and boiled eggs, or porridge and boiled eggs, depending what I felt. Didn't want to eat the same thing all the time. And then I'll be smoking biddies, because you got to take a habit of doing something, and smoking the local Indian prison cigarette was what I did. My teeth was absolutely rotten, but I used to try and go. I need to go to the dentist. So that was my kind of break away from the prison, going to the dentist, you know, under police escort, and then having people rummage on in your mouth, and it wasn't the most comfortable thing, I'll tell you that, because they're treating you like a prisoner. So why should you get 5-star treatment? You know what I mean? Sure. So I'd sit and read books, reply to letters, do word search, crosswords, dot to dot, extreme dot to dot. Sat there with my magnifying glass going, where the hell's 977? And you're around here thinking it's only be there, it's somewhere over there. And you got to draw a long line, and it frustrated me. But it was time consuming, so it broke the day up a bit.
Sure.
And then get to lunch, we'd prep our food in our cell, and then around 3 o'clock, that was our allocated time to go to this kitchen to cook our food. So from morning around 7 o'clock in the morning, there's your breakfast, to say lunchtime. You could some days go with not eating, because there's nothing. You may not have nothing. So you would good job. I was sent protein tubes, so I could have a couple of scoops of protein in my shaker. So that kind of gave me something.
That's good. Really good. Or
when we've prepared the vegetables, like whatever may have been left, just make a little salad of some sort. So there was no excuses in the second prison of not being able to eat. We didn't leave that prison skinny like we did the first prison, which was quite fortunate. So, you know, after, you know, during the time where the guys would be cooking, I would go and train in the Flintstone gym. And then when the food come, grab a wash, sit down, have me food, get locked up at 6 o'clock, and then sit and have a chinwag with the people that you live with, read book, and then at 10 o'clock the light gets switched off, go to sleep, start it all over again the next day. And it is quite repetitive. So kissing my family good night and sometimes it was hard. Some nights were harder than others. Sometimes you just let the tears roll down because you think, well, I've had enough. I'm sick of this shit. I want to go home. You know, not all nights were like that. Some nights, and I'm man enough to say that.
Yeah. What would you say was like your
Doesn't
lowest?
matter. Sorry?
What would you say was your lowest point?
I've got a few. Being told about my mum 5 days before Christmas by me sister in a letter from the embassy about what happened to my mum having a double aneurysm. That's the lowest. Yeah. Spending Christmas in a prison. Spending my birthday in a prison.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Was it celebrated over there? Did you manage to do anything?
Well, not quite. We kind of celebrated to an extent. It was amazing because the families organised getting people to send Christmas cards to her. So I had loads of Christmas cards from people around the world, and sometimes they would leave their address. So I would then send a letter back saying, "Received your Christmas card. Thank you so much," etc., etc. There was a big parcel turned up full of books for her. Certain people would send little Christmas parcels. We used to say, "Don't send chocolate because it bloody melts." But the big thing that, apart from people sending OXO cubes, a lot of people used to send alcohol gel. And if I'd known what was around the corner in a couple of years to come, I could have made a killing off all that alcohol gel I had. but the alcohol gel was to stop the ants, so I used to squeeze it in the ant hole and set it on fire to kill the nest. So that was something we had to endure. Ants, getting some ant chalk and drawing it around your bed space, so you could go to bed without ants crawling on you. Mosquito nets. I didn't really suffer too much with mosquitoes compared to a few of the other guys. Some of them got feasted upon. Maybe they don't like O negative blood. I don't know.
They are attracted to different kinds of blood. I think it's the amount of sugar that you have in your blood.
Exactly, and I wasn't having too much sugar in my diet. But the days dragged. The days were difficult, but you have to get through it. I didn't have a shoulder to cry on. I couldn't just pick up a phone and say, "Mom, Dad, I need some motivation. I didn't have that. I had letters, which I would get it days, weeks down the line. A lower point was, I said to my sister, "I need to see Dad." My morale was really low. I was like, my sister was like, "I can't bring him. You know what he's like. He's flowery." I said, "Lisa, I know he's in his 70s, but I'm here for 5 years. What if his health deteriorates and he can't make the journey?" So then I was begging her, and I was just like low. I said, "How can I carry on here?" And this is in March 2017. At the time, we didn't know we were going to be getting released in November 2017 when we won our appeal. But I was training in the Flintstone gym. One of the Indians came and went, Mr. Nick, you have parcel in jailers." I went, "Tell him I'll get it later." No, you have to sign for it now. Man waiting. I was sweaty. You've interrupted me workout, so I put my vest on and I'm stomping down to the jailers. And one of the Brit guys, Paul, was already down there because he had a parcel. He had a letter actually, to give to my sister. So he went down anyways because they came looking for us. So he knew there was a visit. And he was going, "Big parcel, mate, big parcel." And I was like, "Argh." And I stormed into the jailer's office. I went, "Jailer, where's my parcel? There's nothing here." And then my sister jumped out from the table and I just froze. And the tears started coming down and it was a happy moment. And we're hugging and I thought it was one of the Indian guards tapping my shoulder because they didn't like that it was too intimate kind of for their liking, even though it's a family hug. We as Westerners like hugging people and stuff like that. Especially when you haven't seen someone for so long, you want to hug them and never let go of them. And constant tapping me shoulder, and I was like, "Get off, get off." Got spun around. My dad was in front of us. He was hiding behind the door. And I just, I broke down again. But my morale went. And it was for it was the day before my birthday as well. So, and then the next day, my ex-partner, she came in as well because she had to travel from Bangalore to Chennai because she had to change jobs. So she had to move away from Chennai, so she couldn't get to see us that often. But yeah, a lot of ups and downs, more downs than ups. It was really hard at times. But if I didn't have my military training, I would have been worse off, definitely.
Okay, can you give me like a little snippet, just like a quick one, of like
Yes.
mindset that you adopted in order to survive? Like, what advice could you give to others in similar situations? What worked for you? That kind of thing.
How I dealt with things is always try and remain positive as best as you can.
I can tell
the light is always. Sorry?
You've been really positive about the whole experience, I think. I can tell that you're very positive.
Well, I had no option. It was either sink into depression and feel like nothing's going to end, or try and remain positive. And it was like, there was cases where, say, like I said earlier, the prosecutor wouldn't turn up, then they would go, "All right, we'll delay it for 2 weeks." Everyone, even I, felt down in the dumps, but then I would perk myself up and say, "At least we've got a date in 2 weeks' time. Let's strive towards that. Let's stay positive. It's 2 weeks. They could have just gone, "Well, we'll see whenever." And then you're playing the guessing game. And then you start and worry. They're dragging it out. Yes, they dragged it out 1 year to give a decision. And that decision was forced upon them. So they could have easily took it past Christmas if need be. It was 27th of November. So what was another month going to do for them? Nothing. They're in a country where they don't really celebrate Christmas. So they're not going to be bothered about us getting home for Christmas. So you've got to stay positive. In every negative, and I've more so seen it this year, in every negative, there's a positive there. It may be so small, and you might not think at the time. A lot of people at the minute are not seeing much positivity. They're just seeing the negative. However, when you're on lockdown, did you do your garden? Yes, there's a positive. Absolutely. Would you have had time to have done your garden if you were back in full-time work? It would have took you ages, a lot longer, but you did it. So there's a positive. Something just as simple as that can get someone to change their mindset and think, he's actually right. I see where he's coming from. A lot of the time in lockdown, people were struggling on how to stay positive, and I'm like, well, you've got so much in your home at your disposal. I didn't have that in prison. I had to sometimes dig deep to to pick up that book to read it, because there was days where I just didn't feel I could be bothered to read, and I just wanted my family. So you've got to really dig deep. I had to go to hell to see the light, and that's what kept me going. Amazing support. Like, try and keep in communication with your friends and family as best as you can. I know it may be on a phone, but everyone's practically got a smartphone now. Video call if you don't want to go out, if you want to do your social distancing and stuff like that. If it's not raining, go to your parents, stand at the gate, or do some sort of social distancing. Do not think that what they say will tell you cannot go and see your family, because family is important, regardless if they're in a different household. Family is important, and I had to always think of my family. I was sent photos, so if I was feeling down and depressed, I'd get my photo album out, and I'd look at the photos, and I would take some sort of energy, put it in myself to make us feel more positive. My sister, when she used to write an update, had a Facebook group page called Help Nick Home. It's now it's called renamed Surviving Hell, because I'm focusing more on my book now. So she would like update people on proceedings, and there would be lovely, amazing comments. And I used to say to my sister, after she told us, oh, you should see some of the lovely comments, I said, can you print me these comments? Mm-hmm. So she used to print me, send it to the embassy, and I used to read people's lovely comments, and that would keep me going, that would keep me positive as well. So there's always ways of combating depression. You've got to do it yourself. Mm-hmm. People aren't going to do it for you. People can steer you in the right direction in life, but ultimately you've got to take them final steps. You've got to open the door, so to speak, cross the road at the junction. And I had to just dig deep. And like I say, the gym for me is a very big thing on keeping me motivated and peace of mind. It's my happy place. Yes, people think, oh, well, you're just pumping your muscles up and this and the other. But yeah, I am. And it makes us feel more confident and happy within myself, especially when I used to be skinny and scrawny and a very, very shy person in the previous years. But it's a lot more to me now, because when I go and train, I feel a lot happier. My endorphins is going absolutely berserk. I feel like I've achieved something. I feel positive. I feel happy. Mm-hmm. I'm training legs today. I won't feel happy later. No one feels happy after leg day. You know. I think everyone can agree with us there. We love training legs, but we don't, if you know what I mean. So yeah, the best thing is to try and stay positive as best as you can. Sometimes if I'm feeling a bit down in the dumps in the evening, I love having a bath, and to not have a bath for 4 years, we've been in India, is one of the little things that I don't take for granted, but I appreciate. Okay, I rip the arse out of having a bath, but love it. So I have a really hot bath. I go on YouTube and I put some relaxing music on to de-stress, or Japanese kind of music, which is quite most popular for me, with the flutes and stuff. It really is therapeutic and stuff like that. Like when you go for a massage at a spa.
Yeah, it's quite hypnotic, isn't it? Yeah.
The music that they play, it's so relaxing, isn't it? So when you're in a hot bath, listening to that music, you've got to keep in the back of your mind, not fall asleep and drown. But it makes you feel so relaxed, and people will listen to this and go, Nick, you what? You're some macho man and you're doing something that a girl would do. And I'm thinking, hey, I put bath bombs in my bath.
Why not?
Shut up.
Everyone bath now. And some food.
But this is some people tend to do yoga, meditate. This is my way of getting rid of all the negativity. So try and do things that works for you. Try and do what other people are doing. Like I say, if people have said, Nick, your book's tremendous, you're a bit of an inspiration, and I was feeling low, and I was reading your book during my low period, and it really helped me. Some people have said this to me, and that makes me proud as punch, because if I can help one person get a bit more positivity in their life, I feel I've achieved. That one person to me feels 100 people. So imagine what 100 people would then say, Nick, I was down in the dumps. I read your book, or I listened to a podcast you done. You put my life into perspective, and I took a lot from that. For me, that would be unbelievable. But like I say, one person's enough for me, and that makes me feel proud.
That's brilliant. I kind of feel like I want to try and be a better person having spoken to you now. You know that because you're so grateful for everyone making the effort. I feel like I need to be better.
I said that when I came home, if I could thank every single person in person, I would. I know that's practically impossible. And even when I'm out in my local town, just out and about, which is quite rare this year anyways, there's still people who hasn't seen me, and there's, oh, hi Nick, oh, how's life been back home? Even nearly 3 years on from me coming home, there's still people out there who go, oh Nick, I'm glad you're home, how's things settling back in, and when people say nice things like that to me, it makes me, I have to sometimes hold back the tears, because it shows that there's amazing, lovely people out there in the world. And all this is because of my sister. She put herself out there in a very diplomatic way, in a way that she goes, I will fight for my brother's justice, and I will fight for every single one that's involved as well. So yes, I was the focal point, but she fought for everyone to get it out there, to show the world the injustice that we are being served by a country that is allies with our country. And what people have been saying, it's a modern travesty of corruption, and it should never have happened. It should never happened in this day and age, but it did. It never should have happened, but it did. And everyone who was involved, whether this played a small part or a big part, like say our government consular services, to our legal team, I just want to say thank you for everyone who was involved, because they kept me personally going and proved that if you keep fighting in life, you will get the goal achieved. And I use that mantra today, like, I need to keep going. I need to get to that next level. Even when I'm in the gym, I don't want to finish on 13 reps. I want to finish on 15 reps. And I might go through agonizing pain to get them 2 reps. But once I've done them 2 reps, I've achieved something. I feel happier. And if you have that in your life, the mindset to keep going, then you can achieve anything you want in life, within reason, obviously. Never set your goals in life too high. Set them appropriate. Like, I'm not going to say, well, I'm going to be a top nuclear scientist. I I can't even fasten my shoelaces, never mind do stuff what they do. But set reasonable goals. If you feel like you're in a dead-end job and you feel like you're only existing, make changes. See what you're personally good at and find a job that's suitable for you. Money's not everything. Money helps, but you've got to feel happy within yourself, because there's days where I could have millions in the bank and I'll be still sat on my settee pondering life, going, and I've had thousands in the bank and I've sat there and I've gone, I'm bored. So don't always think money. Think of inside and inside there. If these are both singing off the same song sheet, you can be happy. Aim for the happy medium. It's so easy to feel negative. I was contemplating what to have for my breakfast because I need to go shopping. I was like, looks like porridge again.
I love porridge.
I was either going to have porridge or cream of rice, but I'm running out on cream of rice, so I opted for porridge.
I love porridge. I have it every day. Love it.
So I didn't have any. I could have put some fruit in, but I forgot because I was wanting to put a banana, and I have no banana, so I put a saurine bar in.
Oh, I love saurine as well. God, I love saurine.
And I put some not treacle sauce on, what do you call it? Maple syrup.
Oh, nice.
So
Sounds
it was
good.
nice.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
Yeah. But yeah.
Cool. I think I've got
everything. I think I've pretty covered practically everything. Without. It's a lot to go through. People go, wait, 4 years, and I'm like, do you honestly know what happened in 4 years? My book that I've got, Surviving Hell, doesn't fit everything that happened because I didn't have enough. I was only given so many thousands of words to use, and I couldn't fit 4 years in. So I've got the main thing, the main brunt of it in, because the style of what they wanted. At first, they were trying to go all military style. I was like, whoa, hang on, we're not. Good job of the unit I was in. We worked along special forces, so I couldn't really write too much. So when I gave what I wanted to put in my book down to the MOD, and they had to proofread check it, like no. I was like, okay. So it starts a little bit of background of me, a tiny bit of the army in Jan. And the good thing is, it's not just me talking. My sister has a few chapters in as well, so you're getting a different perspective. So 1 minute you'll be reading about what's happening in my life, my time in prison, and then next minute it switches to family life, how my family's dealing with it in the UK, etc. So the book, it's a mixed bag of emotions, topsy-turvy, drama, and pain and suffering, but finishes on a high. And from the reviews that I've read and what people have wrote about it, I thank them a lot, because these people have took the time to buy it, took the time to read it, and they've gone, wow, I didn't know that's what really went on. I said, now you do. The media could only say so much, because so much was to be said, and they couldn't do that. So a majority of the time it was just reiterating the same things with a little bit of added thing, just to get more people to get behind the support. So that was their focus. But a few people told us before I came back to the UK, they knew something positive was happening, because they went, Nick, I'm not saying this in a bad way, but you were everywhere. I couldn't get shot of you. Your face was everywhere. I was freaking sick of you. But they were saying it in a good way, not in a nasty way. And it was the build up to me coming home. Things started moving. More information was coming out. My sister was telling the media, and the media were like, boom, something's brewing here. And it came down to a man with bone cancer, the captain of our vessel, to nearly die to get our freedom. So that's how much they gave monkeys about their legal system when it took a man to nearly die to get our freedom. And I remember saying this to the guys, there's going to be 3 ways we're going to get out of here. We'll win our appeal, we'll do our time, or someone's going to die. And they were like, no, they don't care about us. I said, they do not want a foreigner to die in their prison. I tell you that we will be out that door before we'd even know what day of the week it is. And they were like, no. Well, look how they treat their own. I said, yeah, look how they treat their own. They ain't going to be treating us that way. Not when it's a high profile case. Trust me. And that's how positive I came across. And I'm not going to diss any of the guys on how they dealt with it. We all hurt on our different ways. Some, you would say, hurted more than others. We all lost family members in prison. My auntie died when I was in prison, so I couldn't attend her funeral. Other guys had to sell property because they were the bread earner of their family. And we all went through difficult hardships, but we all come out of it unscathed. And I hope the other guys are getting on with their lives. I do sometimes keep in contact with 1 or 2 of the guys from the English and the Estonian side. But I'm right when I say this, the impact that it affected on us. You could have put 2 of lifelong best friends in that situation that probably wouldn't be best friends today. That's the reality. And it is what it is. That's life. Like I say, we all hurted in our own ways. We dealt with it in our own ways. But we all came out of it on our own 2 feet. Hopefully a lot of the guys with their head held high. I know my head was held high. Because I said to my family, and I made them a promise that they can take me freedom, they can beat me to a pulp, but they'll never diminish my spirit and my pride. And I walked out that prison with my head held high, my pride intact. And I secretly said to myself, I beat you. You didn't beat me. Because they, on the grand scheme of things, they wanted to defeat this. Attacking your mind, it causes more damage long term than breaking your bones. And I saw how they dealt with the Indian prisoners. And if they dare think they were going to hit me with a lathi stick, that would be the last thing they would do. But yeah, that's the reality. Prison life in India to prison life in the UK, it is worlds apart. So
that was brilliant.
It's that time.
I think that
time to eat.
Oh my God, I'm so hungry. I think
I'm gonna have some.
I've ever done in my life, in my life. It was brilliant. I think it's fascinating. Thank you. It's so inspiring.
People sometimes my sister says, Nick, you get a bit carried away. I said,
no, that's
the reason how it happens, like in some of the interview podcasts, people are going, Nick, that's probably the longest one I've done because I'm listening to you. And I said, I can give you the short thing, but that will leave too many questions for you.
Do you mind if I just get the door? I'm really sorry, my door just went. I'm so sorry. 1 second, I'll be
Crack on.
quick. Sorry.
No.
seconds, sorry. Got it. Thanks. Cheers, mate. Bye. Got it. Sorry.
Yeah. If I was to give you the short story and cram 4 years into the shortest way possible,
Totally.
say half an hour, you would be then left with too many questions and not many answers.
Sure.
So that's why people just go, and I know quite a lot of the time it's me doing the talking, and you and other people are not getting many questions asked. It's because the people, one of the recent podcasts I've done, he had a notepad with questions he wanted to ask, but that just went out the table because he just went, Nick, just roll on. He has, he did chuck a few questions in, but he just let it roll, and he just said at the end, he went, I can't believe what you've just told me. I said, believe it or not, you can now read about it in a book. And that's not even the full of it. And it is difficult. It is hard because I've got to talk about myself. Then I've got my family side, which I have to then confine in my sister to find that, so I can then fill in some of the blanks from there. And then I've got to talk about the whole survival bit. Then I've got to talk about the prison life. Then I've got to talk about so trying to cram all that in to do a potential motivational talk or just talking about my experiences for maybe just an hour. It's very, very difficult. And there is times where I go, I wish I said that. It doesn't matter.
By the way.
It is what it is, so it's mental. But pasta and tuna.
Oh, is that what you're having? Nice.
And some radishes.
I cooked some
pre-leg workout. Gotta get a pasta pump.
Sounds good.
Can't be bothered. Legs. Ugh.
How many times do you train legs?
I try and train legs twice because I don't have the biggest legs, but we've been like in the army and doing like cross countries when I was younger. I've kind of got runner's legs, so to speak. I do smash my legs, I really do. And being an ex-paratrooper, jumping out of planes, it is quite demanding and stressful on my knees and lower back. So I do wear a belt and I do wear knee wraps when I go heavy, when I'm squatting. Anyone want to call me a pansy, I'll be like, right, you lift what I lift. We're all got to think safety first in whatever we do in life. And the gym, it just takes that one, and then there you go, you've injured yourself. And squatting for me is like, it is practically the holy grail of all exercise, because you literally, it works everything. You even work your eyeballs. It's so demanding, the squat, and I've had a hernia in the past, so that played on mine for quite a few years as well. And my knees, I've had knee injuries from my time in the army. I've had 2 parachute accidents. Yes, I did walk away, but I did have sore backs. So, but I train as hard as I can, and it's something. If nothing else happens in my day, as long as I get to train, I'm happy. That training, going to the gym from years ago when I was young, it was train the showpiece muscles, and then more leaving the army to more of a bodybuilding side, eating the food, the different training styles, routines, and that's all evolved as I've getting more mature. And obviously I've got shoulder injuries, bicep injuries, so I've got to train smart. People might go, oh, well, you're not lifting as heavy as, and I'm thinking it's not all about weight. You don't know, me doing a bicep curl, that puts a lot of strain on my forearms, and as I go heavy, it feels like I'm going to pop my bicep, and if I was to rip my biceps, I'll probably cry. I feel like I've been run over by a bus or a herd of geese. I would be in that much pain. A flock of geese, I should say. But yeah, the gym for me, like I said, if the world could fall apart and crumble and non-exist tomorrow, as long as it lets me go to the gym first, I'm not bothered, because then I'm happy.
Very well.
And that's how I live my life. I try my best to stay positive as best I can.
Perfect.
And you've got to have positive people around you. If you have negative people, you're going to feel negative. A lot of people, no, it's not. I know people don't want to do this in life. Sometimes you may have to cut friends off.
Okay. Yeah.
Who you're actually their friend, but you're their friend, but are they really your friend? So you've got to think, and then it's a difficult position for anyone to be in. But if they're constantly mourning and blah, blah, either get them to change their attitude in life or cut them off completely, because they're going to make you feel depressed. And some people, you may have to do that with family members. You can't choose your family members like you can choose your friends, unfortunately. So how many times have you heard people in their own family members hate each other? You know, that's how life is, unfortunately. Have a good positive circle, positive mental attitude, and you can live a positive, healthy life. Yeah, you'll have your down days, but when you look at them down days, you got to think, right, how do I get positive again? Let's get a move on. Let's get cracking on. Oh, that I don't want to watch that program. I'm sick of seeing animals getting hurt and abused. We'll put something else on. There you go. There's one tiny little example of just changing your. Oh yeah, that's comedy. I'm laughing now. 1 minute, the poor dog's being abused. How can anyone abuse animals? And then next minute you're laughing and joking because you've changed the channel.
Yeah.
You've changed our positive mental attitude in a blink of an eye. So more people do that, more people will feel a lot better in life, I think.
I agree. Very wise.
And then that's been great talking to you.
Thank you so much. It was so interesting. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you very much. And I hope all them photos are as good as good.
Okay. I'll just message you. I mean, if you don't mind, if they're not.
Yeah. The recent ones I sent you, they were done professionally. Okay, you can tell.
Yeah, great. Perfect. Brilliant.
All right, that's great. Yeah, so enjoy the day, whatever you've got in store.
Eating and working.
Eating and working.
Yes.
That's great.
Isn't it?
I don't think no woman has ever said to me that they don't like eating. Eating's just like it makes women feel happy. Yeah, I'm eating. Great. I love it.
I'm like,
to me,
obsessed with food. Obsessed. I live for food, actually.
I wish my diet was a lot better. But it's so hard eating. So people say, "Oh, diet for me is easy eating," but it's so difficult for me. Sometimes I'm like, "Oh, I can't be bothered to eat. Oh, I can't be bothered to cook." You know, I delay it a little, but that's just how my mind sometimes works.
I'm just constantly thinking about food, constantly, all the time. Seriously.
I do constantly feel about eating it when I'm at work, when I don't do much. My work colleagues must think, "Bah, he's bloody eating again." But when I'm back at home in a different environment, I'm like, well, I can do this and do that. And sometimes I stop and think, oh, it's time to eat. I'm not very meticulous, but I know how my body works. If I go over 3 hours of not eating, I start feeling sluggish. I start to get grouchy.
Yeah, same.
My sister goes, will you bloody eat? You're hungry.
I get so hungry.
You're so defensive and angry. I went, I need to eat.
Yes, I do. I need to eat right now.
It's true. And I say the same to her. I said,
Yeah.
Stop biting my head off.
Yeah.
When did you last eat? I don't have time to eat.
Mm-hmm.
But you have time to put petrol in your car, do you? It's the same thing.
True. Very true. That's a good point.
Yes, I'll let you crack on.
Okay.
I need to crack on because I'll start and get angry. I'll start and get angry if I don't eat.
I know. Yeah, me too. I've got some pheasant that I'm going to go and eat.
That's great. No problem.
Isn't it? Cool. I'm going to thank Chad for putting us in touch.
That's great. Thank you very much.
What's his name?
Stevie Lambert.
Do you call him Steve?
Good bloke.
You don't call him Tab?
Bit of both.
Really? I've never called
Bit
him
of both.
Steve. It feels weird just even hearing his name as Steve.
I know. It's mad when when you come to know someone by their nickname and you go,
yeah.
What the fuck do you call him?
I know, yeah.
I'm Carl Dave, mate.
You're so right. That is weird. How do you know him?
Just how what happened in my shit. He does the security, so everyone in the security industry knew about us. Like I say, I went through a negative part of my life. I've came home and I've met some fantastic people who I've never have met if the bad situation never happened. So negative, positive, it's there. You've just got to see it. Think a bit. Well, how long we've met? Oh, 7 years. Yeah, 7. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember how I met them, you know, because there's a question of it. People will just go, oh, we're met in school. But how did you meet in school?
Yeah, I suppose so.
So there's a question when you say, if you ask your friends and you know you've known them for umpteen years and you go, how the hell did we meet again? We met in school and you came to school with a Man United bag and I support Man United, so I went over to it because you were stood there looking like a lost sheep. So I started speaking to you and that's how I met one of my mates.
Lovely.
Mad, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right. You're so right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Right.
All right.
Enjoy your day.
I will.
Later.
Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you.